In 1977, Voyager 2 was launched into space, inviting all life forms in the universe to visit our planet. In 1984, someone accepted our invitation. Get ready. Company's coming. John Carpenter's Starman.
Get ready, Company's coming this Friday to a theater near you.
Subverting expectations.
It's just clearly fan fiction.
But Loki, it wouldn't have been as exciting for the audience.
It's that look. It's that look right there. That look, like, test me, mother. Yeah.
And then there's a little old lady.
Knives for sale.
But blindness and blandness want to make you do something crazy.
Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Talk Hard. Hope you're having a great week. It's Tuesday. It is time to talk hard, and tonight we'll be talking about John Carpenter's Starman, which is 40 years old. Boy, that one hit me pretty hard. But tonight we will have a completely different panel tonight. Yes, Stone Cold Loki is definitely getting the Clockwork Orange treatment. We had joked about it ahead of Halo, but he's actually having a treatment done. But he's doing very well, and he will be back very, very soon. IRONCASTER as well has some stuff coming up. So with this is a great panel we put together. Nerdporeal life form, my friend. It is so great to have you on Talk Hard. Big fan, and it's always fun to be here. Hashtag be Nerdporeal.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I saw this for the first time this morning, and I'll just say I really loved it. There was a moment in the movie where I nearly cried. Yeah. I mean, I was shedding tears. Like, this is, and I'm a dude. I mean, like, this is like this. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the road to aspect of it. You know, the old school type, those old school Hollywood type of movies. You know, your Bing Crosby, your Bob Hope, that type of thing. Enjoyed that. The characters were likable, and heck, Ted White was in the movie. Ted White. If you don't know what Ted White is,
It's a great little Oscar nod for Jeff Bridges. It's kind of showcasing the positive side of America, which is something Carpenter wanted to do in the middle of the 70s, where everything was all doom and gloom and dark. So, yeah. But with me is someone who had also about the same age, so we probably have some similar life experiences. We thought we'd bring him in here. Troy Pacelli, how are you doing, brother?
Vasalud, thanks so much for having me. And wow, what a great movie to bring me in on. This was not only a fond memory. My mother took me to the cinema to see this when it was out in 1984. 1984, the year, not the hellhole we're living through. But I gotta say, I love this movie, and I rewatched it today just to get ready for this, and was not only taken back to all the things I love, but reminded of so many things, just lines and scenes that impacted me so much. We'll talk about that as we get into it, but this is one of those things that is a small part of, why I am the way I am today.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit last week. We did Last Starfighter, and I talked about that, the kid at the trailer park and looking at the stars and loving video games and whatever. And I'm like, that film just really spoke to me. And then I watched this one, and I'm like, oh, man, this was this sweet, sappy other side of it. It was like, it was okay to be a dude and kind of like be emotional.
Yeah, and I did cry. I did cry. I am manly enough to say I cried, and I'm perfectly okay with it. the one I'm going to go ahead and quote it. There's a quote that Jenny Hayden says during this film when he asks her to define love. Mm-hmm. And she says, love it's when you care more for someone else than you do for yourself. Yeah. Now, that resonated with me so much that I have literally lived with that as my definition of love all my life and had just forgotten where I'd heard that first. This was where it came from.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
It was the part where he talks about how she's going to have a baby and all of that. And he's like, but we don't have to do that if you don't want. And she's sort of like, they ultimately embrace. And I'm like,
yeah.
Hit me in the feels. That takes me back to an era, for sure. So,
and I love that he says, it will be a baby of yours and your husband's, and it'll be mine too. Yeah. It's like, because she was basically, she didn't say it directly, but it's definitely implied. Well, she said we wanted to have a child, but I couldn't.
Yep.
And now he's gone, and they can't. And he's like, well, yeah, you can.
Yeah, and the other thing is when a woman can't have a kid. I mean that they feel like there's something wrong with them. Pops PG-13. I was going to say the F word, but it messes with it stays with them. Like this is like something. So when he says that she can have the baby, and that's a boy, and that this boy even says, "Oh, the boy's going to have all my memories or my knowledge and all that," I was bawling. Like I was just bawling. Because it's hard. It's hard it's when a woman has to deal with that. It's like taking away. It's like man can't be a man. That's part of woman.
I think we're losing a bit of your audio there, brother.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to this wonderful chat. Netter, sweetie, great to see you. Awesome to have you here, of course. Saying hello to everyone. Appreciate you. There's the mod himself from the Great White North, Chris Persia. How you doing, brother? Hopefully you are doing well if they're staying warm. And yes, this is such a good movie. Indeed.
So I was curious about one thing, and I was wrong. So years before I've ever seen this movie, I've heard the Starman song by David Bowie, and I was wondering if that song would make an appearance in this movie, and it didn't. So I was slightly disappointed on that. But hey,
not only that, but if you think about it, I mean, if you are to describe this movie to, someone who's never seen it before, one comparison you can make is, well, it's kind of a little bit like Man Who Fell to Earth, another David Bowie, vehicle.
That's on my list. I still haven't seen that one.
Same basic premise here, but much weirder.
Yeah, strange. It's more of a strange. Yeah. Pat S is here as well, hanging out, doing some mod work and being a great friend. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you, Pat, and all you do, man. Thank you so much. I remember seeing Starman as a kid. That's when you had to walk downhill to get into the theater seat. Yes, indeed it was. I was dropped off. Probably would have been the Britton Plaza, Twin Bays era of my life as a teenager, where we were old enough to just be left there. So that's what was probably happening. So, and Zach's hopefully keeping warm in the Great White North as well. Zach's my brother. Hope you're doing all right, my friend. Some people will call Troy's hat a fedora. Those people are wrong. That's a pork pie with a flat brim. All right. Hail to the pork pie.
In other words, it's delicious.
I should explain. I mean, that's like saying, well, that's not a car, that's a Cadillac. Well, it's still a car, right? This is still a fedora,
Petey York is here, saying hey to everybody. Hey to you, brother. Great to see you. Dwayne is here. Awesome. So, yeah, it was. Anytime I get a chance to spend some time watching Carpenter, I don't ever want to try to seem as though I don't think Carpenter is like my favorite director of all time or anything like that. But I also am not going to dismiss the fact that this guy's got 9 amazing films. Basically, like the week, I'm going to have to do a revisit of the one Prince of Darkness to see where that kind of ranks for me. But even if it's 8 out of 10, 8 in 10 years, it's insane. And this is among those. And like you were saying, Troy, and obviously what Nerdporeal was saying as well. I did a rewatch again today too as well. It's my second time in the last sort of like 8 days, and it was it's got its moments. And I think for me too is today I noticed like how compact this story was. Like the first, there's a lot happening very quickly.
Great pacing, yeah.
And he doesn't talk about not treating your audience like we're done, we can't figure things out. One of the things I really wanted to get at this shot was the revelation to the audience of her being a widow.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have to have some sort of silly exposition or something that was awkward or weird and things like that. So, yeah.
It's just all in the subtext based on instead of paying attention to dialogue, we're paying attention to what she's actually doing and we see her face, we see how she reacts. I think Carnell did a great job showing this. Then I kind of knew that his character was dead, so that helped too. But that's a me problem.
The first tear that wants to come to my eye, she's sitting there watching it, and she's going, "Come on, Jenny, stop torturing yourself."
Yeah,
you know. And it's like, who hasn't lost somebody and literally gone through that? Don't beat yourself up, because that's what you need to do. That's part of the healing process.
All right, Pat. You're going to call me out like that? No, Pat, you're incorrect. From 1978 to 1988, John Carpenter did Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live. Prince of Darkness is in 87. That's the one I need to rewatch to kind of gauge. It's my weakest amongst the group. I don't count what happens after that. It kind of derails into some other films. I'm not going to totally bash nor praise any of those, but within that decade, 10 years from 78 to 88, 9 films. Prince of Darkness might be the weakest among them. That's a crazy run. That is a crazy run that has aged very, very well. Holy cow. No,
I was going to ask where that started, where that run started. I was like, did it start with Assault on Precinct 13?
Well, I just tried to do something that was a nice even number, like 10 years, like a decade of 78 to 88. That's a crazy, because Halloween, I know, Nerdporeal, you and I have talked about this and things like that, and Troy would agree that Halloween was a game changer. Like, I don't think people underestimate the, like Star Wars was for space movies, Halloween was for horror movies and slasher movies, and in a micro budget film for what, $375,000 or so. Like, it was this micro budget kind of thing. So, then we talk about The Thing and how it's aged with the practical effects and the appreciation that's gone with what it's done. And then, of course, you get into these other movies and you start to go, wow, this is in 10 years, like back to back to back to back almost. It's really, really incredible from 78 to 88. So, okay. So let's see. Jeff Bridges got an Oscar nod for this. He lost to the Amadeus of, who's that? F. Murray Abraham?
F. Murray Abraham, yes.
Yeah. And that was... that's a tough one for me.
How did they?
To be honest.
How did they put in Last Action Hero? F. Murray Abraham killed Mozart. Killed Mozart in that movie. If I didn't see Amadeus, I probably would have believed it. But I did see Amadeus, and I laughed when I heard that. When I heard that one. So,
not only had I seen it, I saw the movie. I knew the history, and I laughed because that just didn't happen.
I could not get out of my head that Mozart was played by Pinto from Animal House.
Yes,
Tom Hulse, and he had that annoying chuckle. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that was really spot on, Troy. That's quite disturbing.
I've practiced it for many years.
That was a little disturbing. Might have to clip that out for somebody out there. A little Amadeus talk with Troy Pacelli.
Just remember, if you ever do it,
can do a good Tom Hulse.
I'll be your resident expert on that one.
Make it a short, Pops. You gotta make it a short.
Yes,
you're gonna get millions of views.
I've been dabbling. This opening sequence and just the information is very, very fast, very, very tight. It quickly moves through them monitoring the crash. And then, of course, this light, this being, entity of something moving around is kind of taking you through some sort of data gathering. she wakes up and she's sort of like finding this bizarre transformation happening right before her eyes.
That transformation is, oh my gosh. Yes, it starts out, this alien, you don't see what the alien looks like. It's just a light going through her living room, gaining information, sees her picture book, album.
Photo album, yeah.
And there is a hair sample from, as we know, dead husband, right? So he uses the DNA, which, let's just not get into the science of that. It wouldn't work. But it claims there's DNA in the hair, and it clones him. And it literally, first thing you see is a baby lying on the ground, growing into an adult. You have this transformation scene, not too dissimilar to the transformation scene in American Werewolf in London. Yeah. It's that kind of weird, creepy, but
kind of like that stretchy
Yes,
effect. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And the baby, the seeing the fetus on the ground, as disturbing as that was, made me think of another movie that came out years before this, and then they made a sequel that came out, I think within a week of this movie, and that was 2001. Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
and 2010 came out, I think the following week after this came out or something.
Yep.
I forget the exact date, but it's seeing the baby grow up like that. It's just, I mean, if I was in that house, I probably would have screamed and ran out, and probably would have ran all the way to the lake. Probably would have swam across the lake. I'm like, what is this? This is
so. Before I leave this shot, and show more of what we're talking about, I have to have my put on my uber nerd set design, realism, attention to details, all of the lost art elements that we don't have in modern entertainment, or when we do, we don't. This is incredible. This actually looks like most of our. If it wasn't your house, it was a grandma's house, an aunt's house, a friend's house. You had pieces of the furniture. You saw
it all tells a story without.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the most important thing about this room. This is the first scene where, the alien is learning about where he is.
Yeah, this is just incredible stuff.
Now, those ball bearings on the ground, very important. They paid. They're the little MacGuffins, the little Omni device, sonic screwdrivers or whatever for the character. They can do whatever they need the story to do, but he's got a limited amount of them. And if you count them out from what you see on the ground to the last one that he hands her at the end of the movie, they had the continuity down.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I didn't even pay attention to that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, there's exactly 7. It's everything's flowing very well, and again, I love the fact that there's our silver. As he's sort of like piecing together everything about what's going on. And again, this is the John Carpenter that we know and love. Well, I love this shot. I just wanted to highlight the fact that it takes Carpenter and his ingenuity to figure out how to film Jeff Bridges upside down and then mat him in to make this work.
So that okay. So he was upside down. I was like, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, how? I'm like,
he did the
how
same
do you
thing
do
to
this?
his dad in one of the Zucker movies.
So is this simply an overlay, basically, right here?
They do a mat in the background. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they were inside looking out the window and you see the ship coming down, that was a composite shot too.
Oh.
And this is that Carpenter does so well, right? His Thing, Halloween, Christine, all the skills that he's so
You track
great
her,
doing.
you look the way she looks, as she goes to turn around, boom, he's there.
Yeah, just like Michael Myers when what's her name, Nancy Loomis is turning, doing, bopping, and then all of a sudden he's in the door like, oh, and bops around the camera again, and he's gone.
Yep.
Yeah, he's such a master at that misdirection and keeping you off kilter and uneasy, keeping your characters believing the characters to be uneasy and uncomfortable and whatever. So again, this sort of like that tension that he did so well in those movies that we mentioned is perfect for this film. That's now going to be interlaced with fiction, but more importantly, the romance between the two of them. So just brilliant.
And you got to give props to Karen Allen, because in her, not even in dialogue, just in her manner, She is able to communicate the fear that she has, right? Kind of a little bit offset by this looks like the man I'm mourning for, which in and of itself is also going to be off-putting, but at the same time, Well,
back when the Saturn Awards weren't a joke, they actually recognized her for this role. So they there was at least some recognition. Because I have to admit, today, well, I noticed it last week when I watched it, but definitely today when I watched it, you're right. There were little nuances in her performance that I wouldn't have given her as much credit for, but she definitely deserves it for sure.
Yeah.
So. Ironcaster, my brother, anything you need, man. We miss you. We love you. Keep on doing your thing. Talk hard, man. He's crossed over 600 subs. He's rocking and rolling, doing his thing. So if you're not subscribed to our brother, then make sure you support him as well. And Penny, hey, lady, thanks. Yeah, I love this movie too. Hope you do get a chance to rewatch it and enjoy, and we can take you back to something that's really good and heartwarming and awesome. So look at Dave Bob Hobb in the house. Thank you, man. Great to see you, brother.
And Dave
actor.
Bob says yes.
Yes, there you go.
Jeff Bridges, the way you see the evolution of this character, right? It starts out, it's clear he's thinking through what is an alien, how does an alien behave who doesn't understand any of this? Not just the language, but the culture, even
the
how the body works. Yeah,
like
his movement's trying to walk,
Yeah, like he reminds me, and I wouldn't be surprised. Now, this is just a speculation. I wouldn't be surprised if Brent Spiner watched this movie to kind of figure out how to act as Data.
Okay.
Because I see a lot of Data in. I got a question.
Yeah,
I don't recall them ever calling him Starman in the movie. Did they ever call him Starman? Okay, there you go.
No.
Yeah, so I don't feel right calling him Starman because they didn't call him that in the movie.
They do in a couple of the subtitles too, and I thought it was weird because that was just strange to not call him. By the way, Bridges talked about how he studied birds and bird movements and animal because it would just be like the most. And so that's why he's very much like he's always on like these abrupt head movements and things like that.
Yeah.
And I will say, with birds, he is so spot on because being around other livestock, the other things that we're around, the animals turn their heads and stuff differently. But with the birds, it's so very jittery and like that. It's and that's exactly how he behaves. There's such a sensory overload of everything that he's taking in. It's such an incredible portrayal, and I'm so glad that the Oscars at least had recognized that. So.
Like you mentioned, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say because I've seen plenty of Jeff. I've seen Jeff Bridges in plenty of movies. I mean, he was in King Kong '76. He was in Big Lebowski. He was the bad guy in the American version of The Vanishing. If anyone's familiar with The Vanishing, great. The original. I showed the original movie to Dempsey. I think the Belgian one. The original, that's a great movie. Definitely check that out. But yeah, like I know you kind of get a feel for how Jeff Bridges acts here in this movie. I forgot he was Jeff Bridges. He was the alien. I don't want to call him Starman. I'm going to call him. I'll simply call him the alien that answered the golden disc on the Voyager 2 probe. So
I think the closest we get to a name for him is one of the government people calls him the Visitor.
That's actually, I think that'd be a great. I think that's a great name, Visitor. So.
He actually has kind of a really big run right here during his career with Tron and some of the other work that he's doing before he ends up with like Against All Odds and Jagged Edge. I think Jagged Edge is a kind of an underrated movie as well. Before he ends up, I think it's a year or so later, he gets Tucker. I don't know if you guys have seen Tucker. I think Tucker is kind of an underrated film as well. Some things like that. So yeah, he has a body of work like Fisher King. He's really good in Fisher King. There's some stuff that he's done. I love
that movie. Oh, that one makes me cry too.
Yeah, there's some stuff that he's done. He did a Western where he's Bill Hickok. I think he's Bill Hickok. Anyway, there's a Western I think he's done as well. I thought he was really good in that. And it's just, just really liked him. So, yeah.
But you mentioned the whole idea, did Brent Spiner take inspiration from, I think, another next gen thing that might have taken some inspiration here. There's a scene later on where she's getting hungry and she's like, I need to get some food, and he's asking her to explain, and she uses it as an analogy to how she explained earlier how the car needs gas, and he goes, this body has an emptiness, we need this is hungry. Yes, let's go to the food station, like gas station. And I thought of I thought of John Delancey as Q.
Yeah,
when he becomes human, it's like, ow, I think, and he doesn't understand hunger. And you're hungry.
Why do I feel this way? It's because you're hungry, Q.
All right, so again, I think this was incredible. This is one of these when you see it, you can't unsee it kind of things where you have like the B plot.
Yes,
the B plot of what Charles Martin Smith's character Sherman, right? Sherman. It's so well done because it's just subtly kind of advancing and moving along, but it never really intersects with the main story to be intrusive. It's just sort of like they're all happening parallel, and I actually think that's a very underrated element to this movie, was the fact that it sort of does that. I don't know. I just wanted your guys' thoughts on that.
I think that was very common in the 80s, was B plots that were completely detached from the main story, but were necessary. So they had to edit them in an intelligent way. I just got done doing a rewatch of the movie Time Rider, where you have the main story, but you need the techno-sciencey stuff to explain the time travel and the element to get them back and stuff. So this was very common in the 80s, and I kind of miss that, actually.
Nerdporeal, what was your thoughts on like the whole, like the B plot, the science discovery, the governmental agency? Because it's sort of like it never was like in the early part of the film, or at least 3/4 of the film, it's not overtly evil. It's very skeptical and exploratory and those kinds of. Just curious of what your thoughts were.
I was curious where this character was going to go. So I mean, the thing that, as far as I'm concerned, I like to think that he is basically the same Charles Martin Smith character from American Graffiti, except he's successful now. He's a big deal. And he's likable. He's very likable. I was like, is he ever going to cross that line and become unlikable? No, his boss kind of is. And there's a criticism. I was reading some critic reviews of this movie, and one thing I did agree with was that I thought that his boss, I forget, was he a major or general or something, was just bad. And I was just like, I was hoping there'd be a little more nuance to the government's position than just wanting to, vivisect the visitor and all that. But I felt like it provided, and I mean, the thing is, the reason why he ended up, the reason why they're running and he's trying to leave, they have this whole plot in the first place, is because they were shot down. Like, his ship was going to Earth to visit, and it got shot down. And so luckily the visitor got out, and I don't know. He went from, I don't know if it crashed in Arizona, and that's why he had to go to Arizona. But the alien made its way all the way across country to Wisconsin to, I don't know why. I don't think that it. Maybe Troy or Pops. Do we know why he visited her in particular? Well, did they crash nearby or something?
Yeah, it was entirely because that's where he crashed, and he needed to then get to Winslow, Arizona, within 3 days, I think it was.
Yes.
And because they visited there before, that's why that location by Winslow was significant. That's something that I kind of missed watching this.
Yeah, and you might scramble your noodle a little bit if you try to read too much into the timeline, because, for example, Voyager 2 in 1984 hadn't even gotten to Uranus yet, let alone outside of our solar system. Put that aside, this is not the first contact. It has to just be them going, oh, they now have the ability to, call out to the greater galaxy. Let's go visit them. We haven't seen them since, however many, millions of years ago when we landed in this place,
Right.
Well, chat's throwing out some other Jeff Bridges roles real quick. Yeah, the dude, right? It's fantastic, of course.
Yep.
Dave Boss, somehow he rewatches this every couple of years. There aren't so many movies on that list. Yeah, I agree. This is one I don't think I own physically, and I'm like already scoping out like a 4K version or something like this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got to be honest. Dave Bob, I would love maybe you'd be the perfect one to have on for something like that. I almost like a panel of like 6 or 8 people to do pros and cons of True Grit, the old version and the new version, because I love both versions, and I may be the hot take is to like both. I don't know I don't know what to do with that. I really love both versions. So, eating mice, yeah, it's funny. 10 points is that on V? Yeah, and great.
Speaking of V,
Pops, just to finish that thought really quickly, I'm sorry, I kind of got off the center. The whole B plot I felt was there just to really give some world building, to not just because I like a good tight story, but I like a bit of world building just to give you an idea of the stakes involved. And I felt like having Charles Martin Smith and the government involved just made you aware of where the U.S. or where the U.S.'s stand was on this, and that they were being pursued, and that there was, like I said, that there were stakes. It wasn't just them going on a road trip and trying to get there in time. So I mean, it gave more investment, in my opinion. So sorry, that's my thoughts on the B plot. So
this is just the great element of, like, again, we can on a low budget.
Yeah.
Do something interesting, create more questions than we totally answer. Like, we know he has powers and he can do things. It used up one of the silver balls. So we know, okay, well, he has to use them to do certain things. We don't know if that means he can keep doing more stuff. I just love the fact that Carpenter, similar to how he handled, I think really Christine would be another example, where he would, in very practical ways, economically communicate information, and then also kind of keep you guessing a little bit. Like, you don't totally understand everything, but you're like, ooh, intrigue, I guess, right? It creates a lot of intrigue. So,
what I wanted to do, if I could, follow up on what Nerd said was, regarding the B plot. We got to also remember this was the 80s. They were real big on government, military, overbearing, usually bad, and not rational, which honestly is probably pretty fair. But besides that, you also have the trope of the good, kind-hearted, maybe lefty type scientist, who that might be giving them way too much credit in reality. But the one thing that kind of falls short here is when he tries to argue later in the movie, in favor of let's maybe not try killing the alien. There should have been some kind of argument that would have been like an Ian Malcolm saying, they can travel across the galaxy. We are stone knives and bearskins to them. You start shooting at them, they will wipe us out. Think this through a little bit.
I like how you said stone knives and bearskin there. I was thinking that the city on the edge of forever, and that wrench, or that wrench that he set on fire, made me, and made me think of, there's an episode called The Errand of Mercy, which was the previous production episode. That was the first episode with the Klingons. The Organians stopped the war between the Federation and the Klingons by basically making all the weapons and the consoles, anything that could, kill, too hot to handle, literally.
Right.
They literally say that in the episode. And that it made me think of that. So yeah, once again, Zach's is right. Every time I come on a stream, I always make it about Star Trek somehow.
Absolutely.
I bring Star Trek into it.
I dig it. So you just showed him at the gas station, and they
we go to the Amico.
Yeah, and you have this great little explaining, no, women, men, right? Which would be really problematic these days. But he goes into the men's room where he encounters a truck driver played by Mickey Jones. There you go.
That's his name. Because I've seen him.
Jones.
He was in Improvement. He was in Total Recall.
He was, and someone mentioned V. He was Chris Faber in V: The Final Battle and the ongoing series thereafter. Great character actor.
Yeah. I love just everything about everything. Just moves very smoothly through the journey across America, seeing different things. Him
singing Frank Sinatra, which he did perfectly.
Yeah, right here, right. While she's singing,
he listens to the first verse, then he turns it off and he sings, and he does it perfectly, and that wakes her up, and he apologizes for waking her up, which is a great indicator that he has begun to understand things. He understands the concept of apology, being obtrusive, her need for sleep, so forth.
Yeah, this is the famous red light. Green light means go, red light means stop, yellow means, you don't win it. So
This was one my mother used to
Yeah.
to quote all the time. It was,
Mhm.
"You almost
That's
killed us. You said that I do know the rules." Oh well. For your information, Belle, that was a yellow light back there. I watched you very carefully. Red light, stop. Green light, go. Yellow light, go very fast. And then she gets this look. Again, Karen Allen, brilliant. She's like, she's ready to continue. And then she's like, okay, yeah, I see where he got that from.
I forget. Is this where she channels her Marion Ravenwood and says, "Are you crazy?" You know.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
for sure.
I was just like, I like going back to like Jeff Bridges, like his character a lot like Data. He's like a child. He's a sponge. He's just taking things and he's learning things. He's learning expressions. Like what's his name? Mickey Jones was just like, "Up yours." I was like, oh my. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And knowing this is 80s John Carpenter, I'm like, okay, this is going to pay off. How is this going to pay off? And then he does it to Ted White a few scenes later. I thought that was great.
That what you just said is so key. There are so many things that if you're paying attention, they pay off later. And if you didn't catch them before, you got to go back. That's exactly how he knew. How would an alien know about Up Yours? We saw, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, service PSA for folks at home. For those of you who want to understand why we're all so spoiled and we are the way we are, you guys have to know this is why. Because John Carpenter spoiled us with setups and payoffs, like over and over again.
Yeah.
The minutia of these movies. I'm sorry that I get intolerant when I'm watching some of the garbage that's done, where they just do things and we don't ever know. There's no reason to them. They basically wasted my time. Where they're doing 8-episode TV shows that should have been like an hour-and-a-half TV movie. Those kinds of things, and it's like, oh gosh. So
that's not fair to TV movies, Pop.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I stand corrected.
And it was for this reason that I explained the concept of Chekhov's gun to Netter, so that when we're watching a movie, I can say, "There's a Chekhov's gun right there." So she's like, "Okay," so she knows there's going to be a payoff. You know.
Well, we like the hopes though, so we do get it in a Carpenter film for sure. So
unless you're Ryan Johnson and like you show the X-wing and you don't pay that off,
I
it's a red herring. Oh, shut up!
No.
Shut up.
Stone knives and bear skins, the best argument I've heard for not killing the aliens surviving the Roman way. If you're at a disadvantage, copy what the enemy is doing. Very good point.
That would have been made the movie even more interesting, like even better if that was brought up.
Yeah, great reference. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Karen is perfect as the lost soul. Yeah, fantastic indeed. So, this again, we are not even halfway. And we have a lot of meat on this bone. And I have to be honest, this is one of the things my takeaway today was I really would have underrated this script as far as the details and speeds, pacing, editing, like you said, just layers of setups and callbacks.
It's all character. All character.
Yeah, him progressing and him growing and learning and information and things like that.
And you caring more and more about these characters as you get to know them.
Yes.
And this guy,
even him,
Yep.
What a great scene! Just a great scene. Like he's trying to communicate what you were saying, and just done really well. And I think that before we got to this scene, one last thought on this sequence. Because at the end he's talking about humanity, like you're at your best when things are at its worst.
Yeah.
And I think this is what we're seeing, right? The whole movie sets up this progression of appreciation of humanity and the flaws of life and all the muddiness and all that. I don't know. This movie got a lot deeper for me today than maybe it ever has been before because of that. I just started to see, constant scenes and dialogue that are all about that one thing he's gonna go away with.
What he says, this actually comes later when he's talking to Sherman. He says, "You are a strange species, not like any others, and you'd be surprised how many there are. Intelligent but savage. Shall I tell you what I find beautiful about you? You are at your very best when things are worst."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a payoff to what he's learned from Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Look at Penny throwing down the ever so popular Loki Zerdos emojis. Appreciate that, members. You make sure you do that. Chekhov's gun is no longer there because Chekhov finally reclaimed it. Very good point. So, all right, now we get to the fun, sort of like a big linchpin in the movie at the halfway mark where he experiences a deer killed by a hunter. And we have this sort of like back and forth element. He's like so obsessed with this whole little, like he's sort of like unwrapping the layers of humanity.
Yeah.
You know, what Jenny's like, and then of course the waitress, and then of course this guy, these people outside and things like that, these other men. If
you haven't cried during this movie before the restaurant scene, when she's trying to explain having lost her husband, that's where it kicks in.
I think it's this scene that you said where she says, you know, to truly love someone is to care someone more than about yourself.
And she doesn't even get all the way through what she's trying to tell him because she can't. Yeah. And she expresses an expletive and he asks, define. And
is that why?
That's not a good word. Don't say that.
Is that why she tries to slip out? Because she's very in this heightened emotional state, you know, talking about this and all that. And that's why she tries to.
This is the transitional point for her. She's been trying to get away all along because in her mind, I'm being kidnapped by a stranger. It's at this point, well, the scene coming up that changes her mind. She understands this is an alien who needs help, but I'm not doing it. But I'm going to give him the tools he needs, you know, so that he can take the car, take the money, take whatever. You can go on your own. I'm getting out of here, you know.
And I have to say, now he goes out and he does what he does. So he basically heals the deer and all that.
And that comes back to the finite resources he has, right? Again, he only had, I forget the number now off the top of my head, but he expends one to heal a deer. This is not part of his mission. It's not going to help him get home. It's a pure act of compassion.
Yeah, and this is a take I have. I was thinking about this compared to modern entertainment. He would have done that, and there would have been no consequences. Like they would just left and went on to the next scene.
Yeah. Instead
of having, you know, here's Ted White, you know, and who was he playing at the same time, or who was he? What else was he known for? Jason, in Friday 13th, the final chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's fighting. So yeah, there's Jason right there, and and like he reacts the way anyone would react. Like, why? What the hell did you do? Like, you took the deer away. What'd you do? And everything.
Yeah.
So,
and he doesn't see the miracle. He just says,
he thinks he took him and hit him.
My stuff.
Yeah, he stole it. He stole it and he put it somewhere and he doesn't know. And so yeah, you get a nice little fight.
Also, I think if this movie was today, because as you know, what happens is he punches him. And of course, he gets up and punches him back, not out of malice, but more or less, well, you know, imitating the savage human, right? In a movie today, the alien would have used some kind of powers to blast the bad guys and, you know, kick them on, and everyone goes, "Yay!"
Just like Wheel of Time season 2. Instead of having a duel, which was in the book, The Great Hunt, they just have our main character. They just have the main character just shoot some fireballs and kill him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to bring up Wheel of Time.
And here, you know, he gets beat up then by this guy and his buddies, and it takes Karen Allen, Jenny, showing up with the gun. Bang, bang, bang.
Yep. So even the gun pays off. Even the gun pays off. Like they use the gun.
Yep.
Chekhov's Jenny's gun.
And he even after he leaves, he's getting up, he's wiping the blood off. He says, "I thought guns make you a little jittery." She says, "Well, you make me a little jittery."
Dave Boss says, "What I miss most about older movies is character development, simple dialogue." Amen.
Yeah.
And 1911 is a cool thing. My macho gun love, yes, cool.
Yeah,
and
just how
studio is here. Cool.
What's up? Just the compactness and just the dialogue is relevant to the story, to the plot.
And right here is where she makes that decision, because she had given everything to the waitress. Said, "I'm going to slip out the back. I'm going to get on this bus. Give this to him after I leave." So the waitress is in on, okay, you're leaving this guy, but then she's like, you better go. The bus is getting ready to go, and she goes, "Yeah, no, I'm change of plans."
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and throw it now that the 7 silver ball bearings, the silver balls, I think it's on purpose that it's 7. That's the God's number for completeness kind of thing. So
True.
7 deadly sins, 7 virtues.
Yeah, it's just 7 is always the
7 samurai.
It's always associated with whole number, wholeness. So
lucky 7.
All right, so then we kind of move past. Okay, now we quickly have this little sequence to figure out, like, well, how do we make sure that these people can't be involved in the chase, or so we had to take them out of the equation. So we had this contrived little bus accident.
Just as they're pulling away, you get the payoff with the up yours. Yeah.
I thought that was I love that, and you know what them chasing them made me think of. I thought of the Blues Brothers. I thought of the good old boys. I thought of I thought Charles Napier and the good old boys and all that. And I was hoping Jack or not Jack Ted White would say, "Don't you say an effing word." But yeah, I was curious if like they were going to be chasing him like throughout the movie. So I was well, that kind of answered that question.
Yep.
And then this part where she, it didn't happen yet.
So again, this scene was okay. So if I had a really major issue with this scene, the water is running in the bathroom, but the way he's sitting and he's motionless, you feel like, is he peeing on the floor? I mean, I'm sorry that
I didn't get that, but yeah, okay.
You watch
his
arms, peeing. Like, what's happening?
And it looks like his arms in his position. Yeah, you're right.
So I just kind of had a pause when I was like, okay, never mind. That's just the water in the bathroom.
And then you realize she's getting ready to take a bath.
Right.
And she's so casual about it. And you realize that she's realizing, oh, wait, this isn't my husband. I have, forgotten the circumstance and I've become too casual.
But he's transforming closer and closer to what Scott was, and less with all the weird artificial alien ticks. So it's becoming more and more comfortable for her to be around him. She's obviously falling in love with him. So okay.
And he's watching a bunch of classics like the art of lovemaking, From Here to Eternity. Yeah, I still have not seen it. I've seen the box though.
This is another great. We've seen this in so many great movies where they input a movie or some TV showing or whatever that has a payoff. He is learning from the TV as well, and here he's learning a little bit about romance.
I mean, if you're gonna learn from anything, you're gonna learn from from Chad Burt Lancaster right there.
And then he goes and tries to kiss her, and she rolls on her back and snores, and he's like, oops.
I love this guy. He just gets to have like this great little bit part of just, all right.
There's a whole story there that we don't know about. There's a bunch of people staying at this motel. A ball game must have let out, and they're all cheering and excited, and he's there partying with them. So when these guys are trying to stay away from the cops, he's like, yeah, I'll help you out. So him and his buddy push a
giant soda machine, which was extremely heavy back in the day. So I'm currently reading and enjoying the new Transformers comic books, which cross over to the new G.I. Joe comic books and all. I really love all this very much. It's really, really fun right now. I feel like this would be what that would be like in comic book form. Like the Starman comic book, there'd be like this other comic book that would be the story of this game.
Yeah.
Starman gets away. It's like there was a little, that's how I felt.
I love that.
Yeah. So, this is fantastic. We're back on the road trip. Chaos is breaking out because the police are close.
Rotten cops.
I like how they were the cops were like instructed to stay put, and then they're like, well, something could happen, and so
then they start poking. They poke.
Yeah, and I think that's why the guy came to them and was say, hey, there's someone poking and there's someone prodding at your car.
Here you go. Yeah. So, and the cops again taking it way too far. They see him he holds up the gun. So, okay, that escalates it. But then what do? They fire their shotgun into the side door, and they shoot Jenny.
Yeah.
And
the first thing I noticed was I heard some very heavy John Carpenter-esque synths, Moog synthesizing score right there. Like it sounded like a tense John Carpenter score. But according to I was curious if he did this. Him and Alan Howarth did. Apparently, no, it wasn't. It was also done by Jack Nietzsche.
Jack Nietzsche, and it was an incredible score. I'm glad somebody brought it up because throughout the whole thing, the music is used to just elevate absolutely everything in a way that was so 80s. That synth track, that was so iconically 80s.
It's so John Carpenter. Like if I don't hear a very awesome synthesized score or track in a John Carpenter movie, I'd be disappointed. And this movie did not disappoint in that regard.
Yeah.
The music was extremely sentimental though. Like I felt like I was just like, wow, like the 80s really knew how to make everything sentimental. Like,
but if you think about Tron and Legend and, like you said, everything John Carpenter ever did, that's the kind of music we're talking here.
Which, by the way, I want to point out the cleverness of this concept of using a moving mobile home as a getaway vehicle.
Yep.
That's a very underrated concept. I don't know Bruce Evans gets the total credit for this, or this is something that they just kind of had put together because of logistics or something like that. But this is a brilliant freaking idea. Holy cow.
And I think he treats her and heals her in that home. If I remember
he does.
Right? Yeah.
That's what this scene is. It's him using one of the silver balls to.
And you see this as a payoff because we've already established he can do this with the deer, so he's doing it now for her.
And he does goes in for like the little kiss, you know what I mean? And so,
which is that whole Sleeping Beauty, Snow White kind of weird.
I have more. I find him more believable than Rey from Disney Star Wars.
There you
go. Especially 9, where she all of a sudden has this healing ability. Oh, I healed a monster, so I'm going to heal what's his name? Kylo person guy.
Yeah, Kylo Ren. Yeah. So you have now. Oh wait. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the separation a little bit where he tries to just let her be.
Now he's the one leaving.
Yeah, I like how he learns about money, and he's like, "Oh, money? You mean an arm and a leg? You mean an arm and a leg, right?
Cash, moolah.
What do you do? What do you do?" He's like, "Huh? What do you do for work? Money, cash." But one thing I liked, and I this is something I forgot to bring up earlier. Karen Allen is smoking hot in this movie. Like you see her in her underwear, and it makes me think back to Sigourney Weaver in Alien at the end of the movie, where she's in her underwear. So
I was thinking Poltergeist, but that too.
Yeah, so they're so extremely the male gaze is in full force, but then again you have the female gaze there for Jeff Bridges.
He's got
Jeff
bare
Bridges
butt,
he's bare butt, like he's got the toned back and the toned look at that. I mean look at that.
Yep.
So like when she's like I need someone to take me to pursue him, a young dude just like, hey, I'll take you
in a roadster. In a roadster that I have got to believe appeared in American Graffiti also. I don't know that to be true. That's just a speculation, but I hope it's true.
He looks so good, it almost looks like it would be CGI. He looks so freaking good.
Which is impossible, right?
Which I know he wasn't. I know it was not CGI, but it's just like he just looks so good. I'm like, holy cow, I forgot Jeff Bridges in this era, mold, whatever. So
Yep.
All right, so this is the emotional, physical scene, and then of course the government stuff is sort of unpacking and making its big shift for the third act as well.
Yeah,
and this is where you start to talk about, I gave you pregnant.
Yeah,
I can't have baby. It's like, oh no, you don't understand. You're gonna have my baby.
Yes, just believe what I said. So it will happen. It will be a boy. He will have all my memories. He will grow up to be a teacher.
So I there's something I was thinking that was going through my mind when he was saying that. So do you think as part of him healing her of her gunshot wound that he also healed that her ability to have to bear children in the same process?
Possibly. There's 2 times it could have happened. One at the resurrection, and the other time was during this scene here.
Coitus.
This one seems more plausible only because, am I correct that it wasn't until after she died and come back that she explained that she couldn't have a child?
Wait, so she died?
Yeah, she was shot by the shotgun, and then they were in the accident, and
Oh my God! I did not. I did not.
Yeah,
I did
think they're
not think
treating
about
this-
that.
I think they're treating this as though she's not with us. He's very,
Yeah. That seemed pretty dead, yeah.
yeah. I don't. Let me see.
And now we're establishing we're down to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it moves very quickly into the whole. Now there's sort of like this incredible bond between the two of them. And then the government thing is ramping up at their end, and then they end up.
And they're spending so much time getting it on that they bypass Winslow, Arizona, and end up in Las Vegas.
Yeah, they go too far. They end up in Vegas. She loses her wallet. But we had to figure out how to give the government time to catch up. So we had to contrive a little bit of a delay for the government to be able to intersect them at the Arizona moment. So all right, we're gonna have them go on a little bit of detour. All right, what are we gonna do? They don't really need money. She's got money. Oh, have her lose her wallet. And he can.
She's got a quarter. That's all she's got.
He can show off. He can show off more of his mad skills. Hit the 50. And then drive away.
And they buy a Cadillac. Yeah, I love it. Go pay cash for a Cadillac.
So I forget. Did he use the ball bearing for manipulating the slot machine?
No, I don't think so.
They had demonstrated he has some sort of technomancy because he starts the car, he starts the projector, he can just touch machines and make them work. I think that's integral to. Oh, I remember Woolworth.
Yeah, they're Woolworth at Woolworth at the malls by me. At the malls by me used to have them.
Yeah.
All right, so we move back on the road. Got to get to the checkpoint.
Yep.
And they go to another little diner, and there was a great callback here as well because when he's in the other diner and he's having food.
Yes,
he
and
understands
he's realizing
the
how much
concept
he loves it. Yeah.
of beautiful or something that's so great is described as the Dutch apple pie. They don't have Dutch apple pie, but they have cherry. So he's learning the gradient of emotion. Again, this is the beauty of what Starman does. It takes you on this journey of appreciation of humanity. Do you stop, smell the roses, or I don't know, enjoy the piece of pie that's in front of you? Because we get so caught up with all of our problems and trivial, fleeting problems and things like that. So, just beautiful, beautiful writing.
I kind of want a cherry cobbler now. I love the tartness of a good cherry pie or cherry cobbler. So yeah,
it may be wanted both kinds of pie, to be honest.
Dutch apple's always good too.
Yeah. And then we get to this final little sequence, which is, I got to be honest, this is kind of like my least favorite element of the film. I really just don't care too much about all the government stuff because it is, like you said earlier, Troy, it's all the government cliche stuff. Government bad, scientists will be good, scientists will help alien escape.
It didn't really do much. They fired on them, and then when the visitor's ship came, or his people's ship came, then they just stopped. So it didn't really. I mean, I don't know if it was necessary at this point. I think Charles Martin Smith should have just shut this whole thing down, let them go. Should have shut this down, and just the fact that he's shaking and dying.
Yes,
would have been enough. Would been enough tension. Would just been enough tension for the viewer to still be invested. True. Because I felt like when they were shooting at him, it was like it didn't seem to hold any weight. No, it didn't even seem like they were reacting to it.
Well, especially since he said only what I want only warning shots. Well, we already know then that they're not going to kill him. So
exactly. So what's the point? I mean, with the exception, I thought it was cool, seeing the shot of all the helicopters, and all that, but that's it. But that's just a technical thing. I felt story-wise, it didn't need to be there.
I again, right there at that scene, Jeff Bridges, again, he's, like you said, he's slumping over, he's kind of dying and whatnot. Yeah. They start to, what do? The visitors make it snow. And it's like, as soon as that happens, he just perks right up. Like, yep, I'm okay. And we didn't get into this and we probably won't, but there's a great deal of connection between this movie and E.T. There's definitely
it's the same basic concept. Alien comes and gets I don't think he gets.
That one, it's an R&D project. He just gets left behind. Here he was shot out of the sky, returning for communication. Right. But other than that, every other element is pretty much the same.
It is, and
there's
a reason,
female interest.
There's behind the scenes reason that there was parallel production with these movies. So it's
Spielberg was definitely attached to this at one point for sure.
Yeah, and they called it Night Skies. I didn't realize
Night
Night Skies
Skies,
ended up becoming E.T.
Yes,
but
exactly.
they thought that concept was for kids, whereas this movie was more mature. I mean, obviously,
E.T. for adults,
story.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest thing I liked about this at the end is just this. I think it was beautifully shot. I just love all the lighting changes, how they're just kind of moving through the progression.
Yes.
And I
Very
also like
80s.
the fact that we don't have to have like this silliness. It's like, okay, I want to go with you. No, you can't go. You won't live. No, not gonna happen. You know, it's like
and her response to that was just that's also heartbreaking. He's like, but you can't. You'll die. She says, I don't care. He says, I care.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, again, tears.
Yes.
You know?
I agree. I totally agree. And here's the final. So the final shot of him, we don't see him actually vanish and go up to the ship. We it's implied through the rotating, seeing her, looking up, or she's looking up. It's dark, and then it starts to get light, and she looks up, and then that it fades to black like that, and then we get the credits.
Last thing he does is he hands her the last of the ball bearings, right? He says, this is for the baby. And she says, well, what do I do with it? He says, the baby will know,
Yeah.
Which also but he also tells her, tell him about me. Now, does the baby need to be told about him if the baby's going to know everything he knows? Probably not.
This needs to know about the original character, but the original father, the father whose DNA was based.
But I think this was also him saying it for Jenny's sake.
Yeah.
Tell him about me for your sake, not for the baby's.
Yeah, I want to say that it's just this movie really, really just hits me in the feels way more than I remember the docket, and to have this sort of like a fun reliving of this process. I was looking at what you guys were talking about earlier too, with the other movies that came out around this, with like obviously the box office was kind of like a slow burn on this one. Like it didn't take off right away, obviously because of Dune and of course 2010. But word of mouth got out how good it was. Like I said, I just remember wanting to go see it. So.
And it had a great run on cable afterwards, as so many movies did. There were a lot of movies at this time in history that if they didn't do super well in theaters, a lot of people got to see it on cable over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Dean Krantz, thank you so much. Gifted a Pops membership. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being a member and a friend and a supporter for so long. Appreciate that. Folks, if you're not a member, consider it. Hopefully all of you are enjoying the fact that you get at least early access to all of the content. The moment I'm done with it, try to get it up there ahead of time.
And Abomination Jay can tell you about what that's like since he just got that.
Congratulations and thank you for that, Dean, and Abomination AJ, man. Welcome. Hopefully you can enjoy that, and love hearing your feedback and thoughts on different things, and partner with me to do this. It's great. So, the government's totally going to leave her and the baby alone. She's good. Yeah. Pat, don't start. So, yeah, Dave Bob, man, it's totally a good movie, man. Definitely a great movie. So
you guys know. Oh, sorry.
I mean, speaking to go along with what Pat's saying, I would have loved to see just another scene with her and Charles Martin Smith just having a final thing about that. But that's just me.
You know, they
I
did
think
do
that's Carpenter style. There's a TV show. There's a TV series.
One season
ties together a little bit. It was all right. I don't think I've watched it in so long, but I remember it fondly, if you will. So I don't know what that means.
The storyline is that the visitor comes back, this time played by Robert Hayes, and he and the child, it becomes like what was that over the top type thing? The father son, travel thing. Every episode is them trying to find Jenny again. I don't remember what happened. Jenny got taken away or something. And
she's missing. I don't remember exactly what the deal is there.
I do remember that at the end of season 1, they had reunited with her, and they were planning. And Jenny,
Aaron Gray played.
Aaron Gray played by exactly. And they were planning a second season with her, and that didn't happen.
Wow. So Robert Hayes plays the visitor.
Yeah.
Did the visitor have a drinking problem?
He might have.
He played it in that
he was played a little loosey goosey. I remember that as well. But I do remember Aaron Gray. Anything about Aaron Gray. My gosh, holy cow! Yeah.
It was a little. He played it a little. He made it his own character, but he still had that very alienish kind of thing, going on. So yeah, it was good. I remember enjoying it.
So with that, Troy, again, revisiting the movie, and I know when you and I, we briefly had a chance to connect to do this, to pull this off. You had to rush around, figure out how to get your Starman disc in to get this watched in time. So
yeah, exactly.
What was that like today?
In the middle of the work day.
I know,
don't tell my boss.
You're doing. Yeah, everything else you're doing. I appreciate it. But tell us a little bit about what that was like for you, man, going back like that.
I told you. I wasn't even joking when I said you made me cry in the middle of the day. I don't usually do that, and I was all full of the feels, and great deal of nostalgia there. And like I said, it just kind of reminded me of how this weaves into my childhood and the personality that, just like you see the visitor developing throughout the movie, I realize how this movie had a payoff in my life,
That's true.
Awesome.
That's very true. Yeah. Oh man, Dean Krantz, you were right on. Aaron Gray, Linda Carter, yowza. Oh yeah.
Joanna Cameron.
All right. What about you, Nerdporeal? You'd never watched this before, so I mean, we talked a little bit about some of the emotions and things like that. How surprised? I mean, what was your expectation like, and then the end result, as far as like the better than expected factor, kind of?
I've never seen this movie, so I had no idea really what to expect. I mean, I knew it was the only thing I knew was that that Jeff Bridges was an alien, and that he takes the form of someone who passed away. So first thing I thought was the novel and the movie Solaris, which similar idea. Someone comes back to life through alien means and is there but not the same, yet looks the same. It's the same type of concept there. But I thought this was great, that it just this blew my mind. Like with John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors. Like he's one of my top three, especially in the 80s. Him, Spielberg, and I can't think of anyone else, but like Carpenter to me is true 80s. I love 80s films, and he knows how he's a master of tension, in my opinion, especially with Halloween and the Fog, and especially The Thing. So we got a little bit of that in this movie, and we got some sentimental stuff that is very Spielberg. So I got the best of both worlds there. So and it's just like you said, it just paid off. So many things just paid off, and I just was able to connect it with things that I like. Like I connected Jeff Bridges' performance with Next Generation. I connected that wrench scene with the original Star Trek, and then of course you have Troy's stone knives and bearskin analogy, which I love. I'm going to take that with me. But
they call me the Klingon cleric for a reason.
The Klingon cleric. I'll have to remember that. So, but like this blew me away. Like I love this, and I want to watch this. I actually, I might get it in physical media. I don't even. Is it even on 4K? Do you know? Is it on 4K already?
I think it is. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm like telling people, yeah, if you haven't seen this, watch it. Like it's not as good as ET, but it's there with ET. It's like a counter. It's like
it's a different approach, right? So
yeah,
I think
different approach.
It's with ET, it's this perfect formula for the kids thing, right? I always go back to the stuffed animal scene where he's hiding amongst the stuffed animals. It's like, okay, that's it. This is the whole thing. It's like this concept of the alien among us and living, learning, whatever. And obviously, there's a TV show called Resident Alien. It's kind of like almost rips off the Starman concept as well. So. But this one, I think what gets underrated or gets lost is because Carpenter's not associated with any of that hit Troy in the feels thing that works so well today.
Right.
And I think that's what the studio wanted. Well, Michael Douglas is the guy who really kind of gets all the credit for us even getting this movie, right? Because he's the one that's pulling the strings of the studio, working with Spielberg, and there's a whole bunch of writers drama on this script. I was quickly looking at it. It's like the one guy who did a lot of the work on it didn't get credit because it was quote not 50% and blah blah blah. But you know what? At the end of the day, we end up with something really good and very underrated. I don't know that I had this on my underrated list, but I think it's one that I'm adding to the underrated list. It's like the most underrated movies of all time kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, it kind of needs to be on there because, I mean, Bridges got an Oscar nod for this, right? He didn't win, but he got an Oscar nod, and that's Carpenter's, I think, only Oscar nod of his work. So there's some things there that happen for a reason. Karen Allen is just phenomenal. It's a heavy movie, but it's never a heavy movie. Like, I don't know how, it's one of those things where it walks such a beautiful line of that sentiment without ever getting sappy, without ever losing the intrigue, without losing that element of cat and mouse. It just really, really does a good job. And like I said early, that first 20 to 40 minutes is very compact. A lot of stuff is going on, and there's no wasted time. It's really, really good.
I just thought about, first, we've made the comparison to E.T., and so this is a great example of how you can take the same story and present it to two different audiences and do it well. But the other thing is that I think it was Pat S. who said, was it Pat S? Somebody said, because it went by too fast. Here it is. It's Dave Bob. I'm old. Not many things make me think anymore, but this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great example of you don't have to spoon feed your audience, like so many do now. And even though, as we pointed out, this was geared towards adults, there's really nothing in this. There are some adult themes, but nothing that you would, say, "Oh, I can't take my kid to." I was a preteen when I saw this, maybe a little younger when my mom took me to the theater to see it. Nothing in here that, she had any issue with.
I think there was enough stuff in here to keep kids engaged too. The fact that they're moving cross country, they're being pursued.
Yeah.
There's even a little brawl. You got Ted White. Punched Ted White in the face. 58-year-old Ted White.
Yep.
It's too bad Corey Feldman wasn't here so he could scare the shit out. Excuse my language. Scare the crap out of him like he did, because that's what he did in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. He couldn't stand how much of a prima donna Corey Feldman was, so he any opportunity he tried to scare the crap out of him any chance he got as Jason, and succeeded. So he's with the exception of Kane Hodder, he's my favorite Jason. So
well, and just so you guys know, it's like at the time when this was happening, none of us knew who Jason was. Like we didn't know. Like so, I mean, if you've seen Friday the 13th at this point, like I'm not sure that I don't know that we would have been able to watch anything like that. But I can tell you, we didn't know. We weren't connecting dots yet. It just, we didn't know who was in the Mike Myers mask. We didn't know, Nick Castle could have been standing next to me in a grocery store. I wouldn't have known.
Pops, I like how you said Mike Myers instead of Michael Myers.
Yes.
I watched a movie with my buddy Dred Roberts not too long ago called Baby Driver, and they were
I like Baby
part
Driver.
of the thing in the movie. The light spoiler is that they're robbing a place and they task this guy to get Michael Myers mask. Instead, he bought Mike Myers mask. Austin Powers. Austin Powers. So they're all wearing Austin Powers masks committing this heist. And you saying that, Pops, made me think of that scene just now. So,
Troy, have you never seen Baby Driver?
I've never. I don't
Baby
think
Driver,
so.
Baby Driver
is a blast.
Excellent. It's
a blast.
That's a great movie. It's
a fun movie, and it is one of the best on-screen uses of Elvis music. So I got to give you.
I'll have to check that out.
There's a great little moment. Like, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Pops, they played Brian Rock from the third album of Queen. How I'm like, I would never expect that song to be in a movie, and they played it.
Cuts. I love that.
Yeah,
that movie's a blast. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. It's showcasing some really fun performances too. People get to really just kind of cut loose and have a good time. So, that's on that was actually on the talk hard conversational list. I don't think it's going to make the cut. There's too many good things in this. Like, look, there's 94, 1974, 1984, 1994. I mean, there's too many anniversary things. 99 is a great year. So, I don't think Baby Driver is going to make the cut for the talk hard. Now, it doesn't mean I won't do a video elsewhere or do some other conversation or a stream with somebody who wants to. But old Pop. Yeah, I know. Yeah, not my favorite movie. Well, it's okay. I mean, I'm not putting it in my top 25 or anything like that. But I said fun, Dave Bob, fun.
It's a really good movie for its time. I think it came out in 2017, I think. 2016. I forget. But I thought it's a solid movie. And before movies started going
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was just the time just before the entertainment industry just imploded.
And I think because of not only the implosion, but now with the pandemic delay, it kind of set itself up and lended itself to having another movie. It would have worked fine for another reason to have another little adventure. It felt very much like something like you could have done with Reservoir Dogs, have another film, those kinds of things. So lend itself to that. So always great stuff, always good stuff. So all right, any other last thoughts before we kind of put a pin in Starman? Hopefully get everybody on board with watching it if you haven't in a while.
Man, I'm glad you got me to watch it again. That's all.
I'm really glad I'm really glad I chose this one to do with you, Pops. I really appreciate you having me on. This conversation was a lot of fun. It was a blast hearing being on with you, Troy. Also, we got to do something together pretty soon. But like this thing is this particular movie, and the fact that they brought Voyager 2 into it really impressed me. And because I'm working on a video for 2001, I'm trying to figure out what approach I want to take. Because they bring up SETI in the movie, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And so I've been struggling with this video for over a year now. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to go, and I think I might have a good idea now after watching this movie. So Pops,
very cool.
I owe it to you for
that makes it all worthwhile just to know that we can prime the creative juices, because that's kind of how it is too, man, guys. If you're writing, or you're not doing a content creator, but you're writing a book or not, I'll piddle with something. Actually, I just got called out on this. Where are you coming on this? I'm like, it's in the shelf. It's on the shelf right now. It's just marinating and sitting there. I'm waiting for the next little grease of the wheel to turn. So yeah, and that's kind of how things happen sometimes. So that's great to hear, my friend. The biggest takeaway for me was definitely Bridges' performance, Karen Allen's performance, the set design and lighting and stuff, and then just there's a sweet spot. He walked a really fine line. I would never have given him as much credit as he deserves. That sweet spot of the romance versus the intrigue, and I don't know. This movie is very underrated.
Yes,
and I keep saying this seems like week after week because we've picked such good things, but Halo's right around the corner, guys. So don't expect it to be like this in a few weeks. We'll see. Anyway, with that, folks, you guys in chat, you guys are always amazing and on fire, and so we'll never see a great movie until. Listen, Dave Bob, I don't know. I'm not going to say great yet. I want to watch it again. I want to wait for it to drop digitally so I can really digest Godzilla -1. There's a film. The problem right now, Dave Bob, I think we have we're getting 1 to 2 that are probably the 8.5 to 9s. I'm not sure we have 10s right now, but we definitely have some the 8.5, 9, 9.5 movies. We have to wait and see how they merit, how they hold up to the rewatchability. And the thing about Top Gun Maverick is, while it may not be this plot-heavy great film, its rewatchability is off the chart. I mean, all my grandkids are asking to rewatch Maverick. I mean, that's really unheard of for a film that's not geared towards them. There's a lot of airplanes in it and all, but for the grandkid to want to see it again, wow, this is crazy. And the little girls are laughing at the volleyball scene, of course, because all the cute guys. They're way too young for that. It's just so a film like that. I think does it mean it's a 10? No, but it kind of is in that that bottom tier of maybe best, and definitely the best of the 20 years. What I mean? If we go, let's say next year it's 2025, you can go, what's some of the best movies of the last 25 years? It's going to be the 1 or the 2 or 1 of the 5 that we're going to have over the last 3 or 4 years. It's just what it is. We're in a goalie. Stole that from The Big Short. We're in a goalie.
Yeah, I mean, there's diamonds in the rough that you just have to keep your eye out for. So obviously, if you, for a diamond in the rough, obviously don't look to Disney. Don't look to Disney, and definitely don't look to Paramount Plus unless maybe it's a what was his name, Taylor Sheridan show or something like that.
Yeah, they're not 10s though. I mean, they're really, really solid. I enjoy them, stuff like that, but I'm not going to I'm not going 10s on those shows. I mean, look, the rewatchability is there. This again, a 10 is like a unicorn. I'm talking Sopranos,
The Wire.
I have to watch Wire. Breaking Bad. I just took. Yeah, I mean 9. I don't know. It's hard. What is the class with something like Soprano? I mean, it's sort of like Bonanza and Lucy, and it's like the stuff that just never goes. It's like it's so integral in lore of stuff. So I don't know. I can list 100 movies long before I get to the stuff that we've had in the last 5 years. So I do totally get that argument, but it doesn't mean there's not great things along the way.
Baker Boys, yes, Pat.
I mean, that is an under, yeah.
Oh, great soundtrack. Oh,
listen, Chris Persia. Look, there's some duds. Look, every actor's got some duds. The fun thing about duds like that, though, is usually there's a story. It's a tit for tat. They wanted a different project, or there's a creator or a script that got changed and they were still under contract, or there's usually, I love that part of the Hollywood lore. You know what I mean? Like when things go, because we love it when we hear, like we watch like The Offer, which is the behind the scenes of getting the Godfather made. Well, I'd love to see the equivalent of The Offer, to see some of the ones that go completely sideways and it turns into like dog crap, because there are some. So. Just wants to take a chance and skips the D. We're seeing it with foreign film. We're seeing it with some other projects. I think you're going to continue to see it with the money part. And that doesn't mean they're going to make tens, Dean, because I mean, obviously, I think the Super Mario Brothers is a little bit of that, kind of like the Maverick thing is too. Some people want to make some money, right? And on that note, completely not trying to promote it. It's going to be a classic movie. But Universal deserves an attaboy for putting some money behind doing a VeggieTale movie. If you don't know what VeggieTales are, that's a hardcore kid Christian project. And for them to put some cash behind doing a veggie, my wife was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Universal." And I'm like, they want to make some money. A family-friendly, sweet, wholesome little. It has a built-in audience. I mean, it doesn't sound like they have to put out a lot of cash to get that license to do that film. So that's a film that I think is potentially going to be easily a good return for them. So
the past couple weeks I've been doing on my stream, I've been talking about other countries that are putting out movies and shows that are great alternatives. We've been to Asia with Japan, South Korea, and even an honorable mention to a Chinese movie. Just last week we did Italy and a nod to Spain, and in not this Friday but next Friday we'll be going to Scandinavia.
All right. Listen, I would argue that I'm not sure it's a 10, but I would argue that they're 9s, and that would be all along the Western Front from last year, and the Pinocchio. Yeah, Del Toro's Pinocchio are both 9s.
I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I got to see it.
Oh, good films. Great films. So, all right, listen, Troy, I've been sitting here refreshing. 749. If you guys are not subscribed to Troy, it'd be nice to just see that in the
one
next
more. Get me to
750.
750. That's the 3/4 mark.
Come on, you guys. One of you has got like an
awesome.
extra account or something. I mean, come on. Let's just,
Man, I'd super appreciate it. Thanks so much, Pops. I appreciate that.
Oh, I know, guys. Listen, it's a dude that is in it for the live streaming, which is like a longer, painful process to get to meet all these silly benchmarks and criterias and things like that. But you know what? If you want a great show, hang out every Friday night, or do like I do, where I'm listening on 2-speed when I drive into work on Tuesdays. The old man at the end of the bar. It's like I'm hanging out with my brother and all the people that he's there talking with, and it's a blast. So
my audience seems to think that I get funnier the more I drink. I don't know if that's true, but if you agree, come by and buy me a drink.
I just always leave that judgment in the hands of Netter. She can be the one to.
She's the one that's got to live with me after the stream. So good point.
Well, I softened you up. So yeah, Dean, I know. And listen, Dean, I totally get it. I really do. I just think that they went there and they tried to make it edgier and darker and whatever. So yeah, I get it.
Are you talking about the new one, the one on Netflix?
Yeah, the one on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the original. I mean, I'm not trying to diss on the original or anything like that. I just thought that they made a really good, dark, edgy, for now kind of feeling adaptation and stuff like that. So
I've only seen the one with Donald Pleasance in the 70s and Ernest Borgnine. That's the one I saw in school.
Yeah, and I it's one of this is one of those. I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater and try to say, oh, the new one's better. I'm just trying to say, I like that one. That's really, you know what I mean. So, Well, hashtag be Nerdporeal. If you're not already, I don't know what's wrong with you guys. So, listen, I love hanging out. I did my first Chillporeal. So I got my first one down. I'm broken in now for later this year. We can definitely do that again now that I've survived. I get, we went long, Troy. You'd be proud of me. I actually stayed awake well into the wheeze. We were discussing, and you guys are part of it, but Nerdporeal in particular, he's given me the Star Trek TOS production order, so I'm watching them in what should be the proper order, because I can then I can value all the things that I really do like production design, evolution, and characters, and so I'm doing that. Those drop every Monday. If you're interested to see what a noob revisiting Trek, well, I don't. Do I count as a noob exactly? I don't. I mean, I'm definitely kind of a noob to Trekkies like you guys, but I mean, I know I've watched it all, but I just haven't. It's not my thing. So I just, you're really getting a pretty raw and gritty first impression of my rewatches for sure. So
that's good. I've been enjoying them so far. I feel like you're making them only for me. I'm the only one that's been commenting so far, but I love those. I love those breakdowns, Pops. Keep doing them. I love it.
Yeah, they usually drop for the members early. He's like chomping at the bit to leave comments, which is great because it makes me feel like. Because you've added like all sorts of trivia, little tidbits that I wouldn't know, and things like that. So I enjoy that. So yeah, I still haven't finished your Enemy Within yet. That's something I have to definitely complete.
Oh,
Dave Bob,
Remedy.
This is I'm watching them in production order, so it's not in the way it's all mixed up now and all sorts of things. And my rewatch includes the pilot, so I kind of got like the one. I actually kind of vaguely remembered pieces of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so Pops watched the second pilot, watched the first two pilots, and then watched the Corbomite, and then episodes as they progress and all that. And I mean the 5. Right? Yeah, I mean the big thing that I noticed, especially in episodes 3 and 4. Compared to episode 5 and 6 is Uhura's outfit changes. She originally wears a yellow
she's
outfit.
command and she goes to support. Yep.
Yes. So that changes, and then I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things too.
And there's a lot of tunic changes. There's a lot of little elements that definitely are modified. And I will say in the current episode that I'm on, which is the Man Trap, Uhura is smoking hot.
Yes.
Holy cow. He like comes walking over to kind of flirt with Spock for a moment, and that scene, I was wow.
And they decided to take that whole scene, and then in the 2009 J.J. Abrams reboot, they decided, let's make them a thing, and it was cringe. It was cringe. That's the one thing I didn't like.
To watch the old Star Wars movies. He'd like those. Yeah, I don't know. He may or may not have seen them. So. Which brings me to a new problem. We have a couple minutes, so let's just pose this problem to chat. You guys as well. With you two would be. I don't know what to do about Star Wars Day, guy, because it's a Saturday. So that's not going to work. So I can't do my 16 hours of Star Wars Pops with the Saturday schedule. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate through that. But yeah, every great day this year, Ghostbusters Day, Terminator Day, I believe Back to the Future, all of it, it's all Saturdays. I'm like, oh man, I'm a little perplexed how to handle Star Wars Day. So have not resolved what to do there yet. So we'll see. I will do something because it saved my Star Wars love that day, because I was getting to that point where I was getting bitter and jaded and not wanting to watch it, and that made me have fun again. So yeah. Connie's here. Hey Connie, good to see you. Yeah, Nicole, this show. I know. When she walked out and that I watched. I'm not quite through. I'm like 2/3 of the way through. When she walked over, I was like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, just the way she talks to him and all that, yeah.
So yeah, the guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a blast to revisit a movie that I think we all can concur just has brought us so much happiness and joy, and it, that underrated feel of the 80s is come alive. You guys in chat, you are always amazing. Make sure you are subbed to these two gentlemen, because let me tell you what. They're great creators, great minds, with a lot of knowledge and information, and just passionate about just hanging out and sharing stuff, which is, why I enjoy them and their content so much. So, but with that, gentlemen, you guys take care. Be strong. Be strong out there. Talk hard. And until next time, I am Pops.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a